Hi and welcome back. So could it be true? This new study says we don't need to bust our humps 3, 4, 5 times a week in the gym or at the track to get a longer lifespan. It looks like we can do all we need to do, provided we do it in a certain way at the weekends. Enough waffling off me, let's jump into the presentation and see what this new study on exercise at the weekends has got to offer. This is a review of a piece I read that was penned by Peter Dockrell, where he covers a huge study into the notion that we may be able to limit all-cause mortality by just exercising at the weekend. And there are links in the description below to the study and the articles I used to put this presentation together. Thanks to scientists collecting and analysing vast amounts of data, we now know a lot about exercise and how it's good for our health and also our well-being. We have data on the optimal time of day to exercise, which may not be necessarily the same for every single person. We know how often we should exercise, we know how long it takes to lose our fitness, and what kind of intensity we should be aiming for during our exercise periods. Of course, many of these are just recommendations, but they are based on aggregated data recorded from thousands of participants showing what appears to work best for most people. For example, they can tell us how much exercise is needed to offset sitting down all day, or how best to keep unwanted weight off, and even how just one single workout can deliver specific health benefits. But if you're like most people, one of the biggest problems is actually finding time to get to the gym during the week. In a new international study, researchers analysed the public health data for over 350,000 people in the USA. It was collected through the National Health Interview Survey between 1997 and 2013. Combing through the data, the team, led by first author Mauricio dos Santos, an exercise physiology researcher from the Federal University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, had a single question they wanted to explore. Put simply, provided you're doing enough exercise to meet the recommended levels of physical activity each week, does it matter if you do all the exercise in just 1 or 2 sessions at the weekend, or is it better to spread out the physical activity regularly during the week? Currently, the World Health Organization 2020 guidelines on physical activity and sedentary behavior stipulate that adults should do between 150 and 300 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity each week, or between 75 and 150 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise each week, or an equivalent combination of both. While studies have previously looked at the health benefits of being a weekend warrior, it's remained unclear how doing 1 or 2 sessions of exercise a week compared to doing more frequent sessions of physical activity, specifically in terms of reducing the risk of mortality. Thanks to Dr. Dos Santos and his team, we may now have a clearer answer. After comparing people in the cohort who undertook the recommended level of moderate to vigorous physical activity each week, the researchers found very little difference between weekend warriors and the participants who exercise more regularly in terms of reduced mortality risk from all causes, and specifically from cancer and cardiovascular disease. The authors write in their paper, "We found that weekend warrior and regular activity participants had similar all-cause and cause-specific mortality, suggesting that when performing the same amount of physical activity, spreading it over more days or concentrating it into fewer days may not influence mortality outcomes." The most important takeaway here is, rather than worrying about how often or when you should be exercising, you should be making sure you do try to hit the recommended levels of activity each week, because that's when the beneficial effects of exercise can most clearly be seen. Over the course of 10.4 years, the median length of time in which participants were involved in the survey, almost 22,000 people passed away. Among all participants, however, the statistical likelihood of dying from various causes was generally significantly lower if they did hit the recommended levels of physical activity. The team explained that the findings of this large prospective cohort study suggest that individuals who engage in active patterns of physical activity, whether weekend warrior or regularly active, experience lower all-cause and cause-specific mortality rates than inactive individuals. Compared with physically inactive participants, hazard ratios for all-cause mortality were 0.92 for weekend warriors and 0.85 for regularly active participants. Finding for cause-specific mortality were similar. The researchers did note some limitations of their analysis, including that the primary survey data came from self-reported questionnaires, which are prone to including a certain level of error compared to more objective measurements. On the plus side, the findings here involve a large cohort observed over a long period of time, which does give a considerable amount of confidence in the statistics that were reported. Ultimately, the results confirm a lot of what we already know, which is that exercise is good for you, and for many of us, doing enough of it will certainly help us live longer and also extend our health span. Even if you're restrained by time, making some time on the weekend to fit in at least 2 quality workouts will reap huge benefits. The researchers close by saying, for people with fewer opportunities for daily or regular physical activity during their work week, these findings are important. This data backs up the information I covered in a previous video that set out the data from a study at the Anglia Ruskin University on how long it actually takes before we start to lose our gains, whether that be strength or cardiovascular fitness. The findings of that study show that we start losing cardiovascular fitness and strength within about 48 hours of stopping, but we don't start to feel these effects for at least 2 to 3 weeks for cardiovascular fitness and around 6 to 10 weeks for strength. Well, I hope you found that interesting or informative, hopefully both. Will this study make you reconsider your exercise regime? Will you start to think about pushing all your exercise possibly into the weekends? I don't think this will work for everyone. For example, bodybuilders won't be able to do all the exercises they need to do on 2 days of the week, and it certainly won't give enough time for recovery. Also, long distance runners probably can't train on a Saturday and recover enough Saturday night to go hard at it again on Sunday morning. Let me know if you're someone who does train just at the weekend. Let me know if it's good or bad, and let me know how effective you think it is specifically for you. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. As always, please take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.